Right. I'm back on finishing what I started yesterday. And I mean I don't know why I'm recording it. I could do it off camera, but you know what? I do know why. Because I want to document every single little thing that happens to me in my life. But no, it's because I want to just record it because you never know. You never know. You know, you just don't know how it might be useful. And it's not like recording it's gonna be bad for me. If anything, it's better because it means I can, I can talk to the camera. This parasocial discussion right here, which is just for my benefit because I get to like voice my thoughts. And like that's kind of my because I give up. I can't speak. I can't speak. Okay, let's get it. So yep, I didn't get that far. I mean, well, I did get pretty far last time. I mean, I got like sorry. Yep, I don't know how many I created exactly. I guess I can look for links actually. I mean eight. Okay, it would appear I made eight different notes. So not a huge amount, but these were the first notes I've ever made. Yeah, the first notes from scratch I've ever made for Zettelkasten. But honestly, like now that I'm getting into the flow of it, I'm kind of realizing that, and maybe this is just the honeymoon phase, but like this is quite simple. Like for some reason, only now is it clocking to me that this isn't particularly complicated. Like a Zettelkasten isn't particularly complicated. Like you just like I'll do it right now. Okay, so first we need the source. And sources are the more time consuming thing to like do, just because you got to copy stuff and whatever. Um, but once you have the source, yeah, yeah. Once you have the source, you just create a note. So, generally speaking, we would benefit from having more pressure, space, expectation to articulate why certain goals resonate with us or rub us the wrong way. So I'll create a note here. No title yet, but I'll start by adding the ref. Well, actually, I'll add the reference last because I might integrate it into my paragraph. Topics I already know. Actually, no. The thing we start with, plain and simple, the body, right? What is the idea here? That we would benefit from having more, yeah, or rub us the wrong way. So we as a society would benefit greatly if it would be of great benefit to community slash group efforts if if there was a societal expectation slash pressure for people to clearly articulate articulate their reasoning when something rubs them the wrong way, when something resonates with them. Okay, so here I've now made it more general, but I mean that's the main idea. And then if I look at my other notes, because there might be another note here as well, which is that we are not good at agreeing on goals. Okay, no, but like that's not really a thought. It'd be a great benefit to community group efforts if there was a societal expectation pressure for people to clarify to clearly articulate the reasoning when something resonates with them or rubs them the wrong way. So then I would call this, like that's it. Obviously, I can kind of expand on it more if I want to, but like that is already the body of the Zettelkasten. And then all I need to add here is the reference. So since it's in Obsidian, I'll just link to the actual source, which is how can you be so certain, and from this particular section. That's it. And then you can see that automatically adds this here, and then it's a link over here. As the topics, so this is collaboration. I'll go in this view, so it's easier. Collaboration, communication is a tag I don't have yet, but very important. Yep. And then I just make a title that is like basically this, but just concise and summarized. So there should be expectation. There should be stronger expectation for for opinions to be justified. Is what I'm trying to say really. So then this, now having this, I can like, yeah, so like that's it. Like, first of all, like just straight up, this is the notes. Like this is a first draft of the notes. Perfectly fine. I could add this to my Zettelkasten right now, and boom, I've created an atom. And the cool thing is that this sources thing isn't even part of my Zettelkasten technically. These references can contain just raw links. I could like, just like link a URL for a video and then put like a timestamp. Like that's valid. The only reason I have this note here is just because I think it's just more convenient to access than having to open the paper each time. So this is completely optional. The only thing that's actually part of the Zettelkasten itself are the atoms. Literally nothing else is part of the actual Zettelkasten. Oh, and the maps. To be fair, the maps and the atoms. But starting out, you don't even need to make maps. I mean, the maps are just like these, right? Collaboration, communication. And then later, if I want to, I can create like if I feel like I want to have some easier way to navigate my collaboration related notes, then I can create the hub note. But until then, it's just atoms, and that's it. I've created an atom, and that's all you do. You just create atoms, and then boom. As long as you can just follow this model, you have your Zettelkasten. It's really easy. Like it's actually really easy to just get it rolling if you follow something like I have here. Now I don't know if this is even. No. Yeah. I don't know for sure if this will work long term, but I'm pretty sure I'm following a Zettelkasten the way it was intended, which is just this, right? You have one idea. It can be arbitrarily big or small. It doesn't matter as long as it's one idea. You don't worry about note length. You just make sure that like a longer note might indicate that you might have more ideas, but don't worry about it. Like just yeah, like you just don't you just don't have to worry about those things if you just focus on the essentials. One idea per note, that's it. Like that's literally it. And then everything else here is just how I choose to format it. So like I choose to have the creation date. That's optional. Topics are optional, but they can be useful for navigation. You don't have to though. The title you could use just like some random thing like I don't know notes 2026 0330 some unique ID like that is also a note title. But this is again just a choice that I choose for organization purposes. And then references are important for links. Well, really, I should probably like rename these to inspirations. But for now, I'll sort of call them references. But then you can use these to also link to other posts, and like that's the main idea. You have one idea per note, and you link to other posts. That is a Zettelkasten, and it's crazy, right? So simple. And so now, if I want to improve this, I just write my title, okay, and now I realize that okay, so my title doesn't really match up with this. Like this is what I'm trying to say, but I feel like I haven't expressed it that well here. So now I'm just gonna go back and forth between these two until I feel like they actually sync up, and my idea has been clearly communicated. So it'll be a benefit to community slash group. Um, yeah, to so I'll change this to collaborative efforts. If there was a societal expectation slash if there's a stronger for people to clearly articulate their reasoning um, when they assert that they agree or disagree with something. That something resonates with them or resonates the wrong way, right? And that's my thoughts. And like there are other thoughts that I could derive from this. Like I could say, okay, and one reason this may be difficult, or like this may be difficult because because humans are not so good at putting. Because I don't know, because like the English language cannot convey emotions effectively, right? That's another thought that if I wanted to, I could then create another atom right now. That's literally titled "Human language cannot express like natural modern human language cannot faithfully express emotion," right? Like that's something I could do, and I can do for that. Like now, I'm not gonna make that because I don't fully think that or agree with it, but like that's just one idea that could be made from this note, and then in that new note, I'll link to this note, and then that's how you get your graph. So that's it. Like that is the Zettelkasten. Um, no like big fancy system, and like like it's crazy. It's crazy how simple it is, and how it took me 7 hours to realize this. Um, so it's cool. It's cool. I'm quite happy with this. Yep. So that's one note there. So now we go to the next note. Like I'm not saying it'll be super quick. Like the speed at which you manage it. I mean, obviously I'm talking and explaining it as I do it in this recording. I mean, not just for the recording, but also for my sake, so I can articulate my own reasoning, and that helps me understand myself. But like if you're just doing this like I don't know, like with experience, like it's been like a month or like a couple of months, and like you're in the process of it. Writing these notes should be pretty damn fast. Um, yep. So let's just go to the next note. Even faster if you're not also copying stuff to a source note like I am. So quote: data always require interpretation. Data always require interpretation. Yeah. Data always require. He's treating data as a plural here. So it kind of looks weird, but I mean, not my. It's his words, not mine. And then I just copy paste this because I already took the notes while reading this. So these are my literature notes, and I don't need to modify them at all. Like that, these are the notes I took already. So I just read them, kind of remember what like my main ideas were from this, my main thoughts. So rather, we cannot assume that our interpretation is objective. So that's one thought. And furthermore, the more data we have, the more we can determine which interpretations stand the test of generalization. So now I have two thoughts here. So I can choose like now. Okay, do I think this is worth making a note from? We cannot assume that our own interpretation is objective. Like okay, yeah, I think that's good enough. I mean, it may seem obvious to some people. And I mean, I think it's obvious, but I should definitely put it down. Just because it also shows like yeah, like Zettelkasten is a thinking partner. So like it's good that if even if things seem like obvious to you, if you just put into your thing anyway, your system, because not because they're obvious, but because they're important. Like maybe they're obvious, but they're still important. Then maybe in 5 years you'll come back to it and be like, actually, my opinion's kind of changed, and that's important. Or I still agree with this. Like I'm not surprised, but like, damn, I wonder why. Like it's just like even if it like that I wonder why is how it's helping you think, if that makes sense. Because like you're looking at it, and regardless of whether you agree or disagree, the point is it's making you think, and that is the main benefit. Because whether or not like it's gonna like help you cure cancer, just the fact that it makes you think, get you closer to revolutionary ideas. So we cannot assume that our own interpretation is objective. Yeah. So yeah, we cannot assume that our own interpretations of data are objective truth. And title, we okay. Actually, so before title, I'll do my references. Um, how can you be so certain? Rather, we can assume. Yeah, here. Okay. See our objective truth, if objective truth even exists. Yeah. And then what I'm thinking is to say instead, we need more data, or we need to consider more perspectives and get more data. Like that's the gist of it. This is a separate idea, so this would be a separate note. So I'll just I don't know, just like leave it like that for now. And then for the title, okay, well, topics actually. Um, Objectivity. Um, Truth. But truth, right? And title. Um, we cannot assume our interpretations are objective. Right. So that's my notes. Very short, just one sentence, but I think I can. That's workable anyway. Like it's still worth putting it into my vault, and then I'll create a new note. Copy this in, and then say because. Yeah, like um, because it is because we cannot simply assume that our interpretations of data are objectively correct. It is important that we more consider a diverse range of perspectives different from our own. Our own, yeah, and seriously consider their arguments. So really, this note that I've just made here that spawns from the other notes isn't even this. This is actually a different idea. So now I have three atomic notes, but just had the other one that I made just now was able to spawn this one. So topics would be truth again, and I'll call this we should consider a diverse range of perspectives when interpreting data, right? Yep. And then I create a new note once again with this idea. The more data we have, the more we can determine which interpretations stand the test of generalization. So to kind of phrase this in a way that makes more sense, like because like you also want to write notes like that will make sense to your future self, or else they're kind of useless because you don't understand what you even mean. So data, yeah. So data is prone to. I mean, I think I can also build this one off from the old one. So we cannot assume. Yep. So it is difficult to know whether our interpretations of data are correct, and a good way to test them is to, and as such, a good way to test them is to simply collect more data that will and see if the interpretations hold under greater, yeah, hold under more general cases. Okay. I don't love that wording, but I'll see if I can improve it in a second. Topics are still truth, and references. It was from this initially, so I will link the same thing. Um, how can you be so certain? 851, yeah, because in that case I already had it made, so that's fine. And the title, interpretations of data can be tested by collecting more data for generalization. Okay, to test them for whether they generalize to wider contexts, is simply collect more data. Is simply collect more data. Yeah, and see if the interpretations hold under these wider contexts. Yeah, hold. Yeah, that's fine. I like this wording. It's good enough. Boom. And like, keep in mind that this is also like a note taking thing. Like, you should obviously make your notes coherent to make sense, but don't even worry too much about like, oh, it's just like it says perfectly grammatically correct and all that. Like, as long as it's readable and like you can understand the idea from it, you don't need to worry too hard about that. I mean, like I mean, you should make them, I think, grammatically correct just for like good practice first of all of being good at writing. And also it's just easier to understand if it's grammatically correct. But like if you have a system where someone else re- reading your notes may be like I know what you're saying, but like god damn, like this is just kind of weird English. Like it's as long as you understand it, then it's not as big of as a deal. And I've definitely seen people like examples from Zettelkasten experts whose notes are not that coherent. I mean, like coherent, but like not that like good, like written, like well written, well written. Um, that being said, I do advocate for you writing well. I think again it's good practice, and I definitely try to. But don't like if you're stuck with something and you're like just think like okay, if in this case do I actually care that much? Like if it's good enough, fine, just leave it. Because like again, at the end of the day, it is just note taking. You're not writing for Wikipedia. That comes later. Okay, so our experiences, yeah, okay, yeah. A lot of what Bjorn says does indeed apply to humans in general, even though he's referring to the C++ committee. And this actually gives me a thought here, which is that programming, the art of programming, is so applicable to other contexts. So this isn't like I will reference this post, but it's more like a general post thing. Sorry, like this paper. Let me, let me just do. So in this case, I would reference the entire paper. How can you? Because it's not a particular excerpts. It's just the paper itself that is like making me realize this. And what I'm realizing is that programming, the art of programming and software design, is shockingly applicable and relevant to more general um, system for not even more for like just like general system design like sociology, um, like okay, like yeah, like just system design, but rather to the design of systems in general. For example, because programming, of course, well, currently is done well, is currently primarily done through programming languages. There is lots of intersection with linguistics and sociology. Now, this is not a separate idea, a separate thought, because I'm just clarifying what I mean by this by giving an example, but it still connects to the same thought. Um, there's a connection with linguistics and sociology. Since the code is intended to be read by humans as well as written by them. Read by humans in bold. Yeah, awesome. And then this obviously relates to programming language design. Yeah, actually, and systems. Okay, and I would call this programming. Uh, Programming is the the skill of programming is transferable to general system architecture. Architecture. Yeah. Yep. That's good enough for me. So boom. That's another atom. Okay. Problems and styles of solutions change over time. This is generally true. Problems are dynamic, and we cannot expect one single solution to stand the test of time. Yeah, that's a very clear Zettelkasten for me. Note. So just copy paste that there. Copy paste my notes there. Create a new thing. And I said here, problems are dynamic, and you cannot expect one single solution to stand the test of time and work for every future problem slash situation. So I will kind of expand on this. Because problems are bound to change over time. Now, I could make a thought from this note as well, or like I could make an atom from this as well, which is that problems are bound to change over time. And I think I will. Yeah. So because problems are dynamic and bound to change over time, we cannot uh, it follows that we or like it seems logical that we cannot simply assume that or exp- that that it isn't reasonable to expect that any one solution to a problem is guaranteed or even likely to stand the test of time and continue to solve that problem. Instead, solutions should be designed. Instead, we should aim to design solutions that are that change. I'm trying to say that evolve even automatically to um, alongside the problems, alongside their respective. Yeah, alongside the problems, their problems, the problems they aim to solve. The problems are assigned to, right? So there are kind of three ideas here. This first one, second one, and then so we should aim to design solutions that evolve. So we have three ideas here. Yeah. So we're going to start with the base idea, but let's just make this a reference first. So again, how can you be so certain? You vision a windhawk. Awesome. Um, here, and let's create a new note for this real quick. So problems are dynamic and might change over time. Yeah. Problems are dynamic and problems are dynamic, meaning they are bound to change over time. Now, okay, well, to be fair, this isn't always true, right? Like, my problem is that, uh, okay, well, problems that are not bound to a particular moment in time are dynamic, meaning they are bound to change over time. Yeah, very simple, but you know, once again, an atomic note is like atomic, right? Like an atom. Like hydrogen is an atom. Like to expect it to even be more than a single sentence, like is just like why even assume that? Problems are not bound to a particular moment in time are dynamic. So problems are dynamic, and like mentally, although like I will not tag this explicitly because I don't need to, but like just like mentally, I can see that because this is a much more simple idea, it's almost like a foundational idea where like it's something that's so basic but so like fundamental that I can then derive quite a bit from it probably. Um, Whereas more complex notes are a bit more specific, um, and can probably be derived from simpler ideas. So like although we have atomic notes, like although we call them atomic notes, really notes like these that derive from other ones. So problems dynamic, like notes like these are kind of like molecules in a way. Well, no, they're not molecules because like it's still a new idea. But no, yeah, no, like yeah, it's like molecules because you're taking notes and you're using those to derive new notes, um, which is cool. So let me just finish this one off first. I actually don't even know what this one is. I guess systems, and likewise here systems. Very broad, but yeah. And then my other one is we should aim to design solutions that evolve even automatically. Yeah. So this whole note will be a new note. Um, because like you might be saying like at this point that my notes are a bit formulaic, like because this, then my main point. But like that's like it's fine to be formulaic because it just means it's your notes are easier to write. So let me just title this first. No one solution is likely to static solutions don't solve dynamic problems. Okay. So then, because static solutions, because problems change over time, or well, okay, because I mean, even here, like when facing dynamic problems, we should aim to design solutions that evolve, even automatically alongside the problems that they're assigned to. They're designed to tackle. When facing dynamic problems, we should aim to design solutions that evolve. Since, and then here I can put here, static solutions, since dynamic problems will outgrow a solution, like a virus mutates. Nah, that's not even a good analogy. Okay, like notice how I just said you can be formulaic, but then also like don't force yourself to be. Like if you find yourself using like a similar pattern in your note taking, cool. Like it just means your brain's finding more like optimal ways to write. But then if you ever need to break it, don't hesitate to. Like I started by saying because, and I was like, actually, you know what? This word's a bit more naturally, and that's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with this. If anything, it just means you have more variety. But like it really doesn't matter. Just like don't trap yourself by thinking, oh, like I need to have like my point evidence claim, no taking style. Like no, absolutely not. Alongside the problems are intended to tackle, since dynamic problems will outgrow a static solution. Well, outgrow solutions plural. Yeah. So dynamic problems require dynamic solutions and systems. Yep. So I got 3 notes, and like you may think, but Kojo, like these are all so closely connected. Like at that point, why not just make them separate notes? Sorry, not separate notes. Like the same notes. Like if I'm reading this, like, isn't it easier to just like read like a note that says, um, problems problems that aren't branched to a particular moment in time are dynamic and change over time, and since which therefore means that static solutions are not good enough, and we actually need dynamic solutions. Like I could say that, but I don't know. In fact, these two static solutions don't solve dynamic problems, and dynamic problems require dynamic solutions. Like these seem like almost opposites of each other, but like they are like there is a small distinction in that not all like this statement doesn't imply this, and like this doesn't imply this either. They're just like obviously very related. And I don't know if this and not this will spawn another note in the future. Like I just don't know. So have them atomic just keeps that potential for connection, that I would be losing if I were to combine them into one note, and that makes it more rigid. Because I'm like, okay, I actually just want to expand on this point and not the other point. But now they're the same notes. Because like I got 2 ideas here, so like really I should split it, and like that's what happens anyway. So like just take that forewarning and then just make them separate in the first place. So I do have faith in that. Um, Okay, how so? Might even harm the C++ community as a whole. He didn't say. Many private languages have failed. If you're not careful, C++ can still fail. When the world changes, not if the world changes. Yeah, this resonated with me. I'm recording, right? Yeah. This is a really important mindset to adopt. It appears obvious, but a lot of the time we do, in fact. Yeah. Um, it appears obvious, but a lot of the time we do, in fact, think of change as possibility rather than guarantee. So then my note here is just um, the world, the universe as a system. The world, okay. Our world, be it society or more broadly the universe, as a system, um, is guaranteed to change. Or even any system that is open to. That's interesting. What I'm what I'm doing now is not rewriting what I just wrote. I'm actually realizing I meant something different. And now I'm not just rephrasing, I'm literally I've changed my idea to be more focused. And this is also important to highlight. Because when you're writing notes, don't just like look at your the notes you wrote before like in your literature notes and be like, okay, like I think this is what I meant, and then I'm just gonna type that. No, like update your idea and be like, okay, like I said that, but I meant this. So let me just make them more specific. So any system that is open to external effects, i.e., an open system, is guaranteed to change over time, and thus we must expect change to occur. Um, it seems obvious, but we easily fall into the false assumption or false mindset that a system we create or manage is may only possibly change. This is unrealistic and prevents good and prevents proper critical thinking. Yeah. Something else. Expanding on this. Such systems may be as small as design. Well, as small in scope as a scripting language to something as to a system as broad as society itself. And all of this, to my understanding, is one idea. Any system that's open to external effects is guaranteed to change over time, and thus we must expect change to occur. Yep. Now, you could argue that these are two separate thoughts. first of all, that any system is open to external effects is guaranteed to change, and thus you must expect change to occur as like a separate one. But I don't think so. Like you can argue they're separate, like clauses, like arguments, like or like yeah, arguments. But the idea, I would argue, the thought is the same. Like yeah, things will change, and obviously if things change, then we need to expect things to change. Like they're not like separate enough for me to really split this into a separate note. Um, maybe if I like rephrase this, that would be a bit more clear how these are technically one thought, one idea. But I can't be bothered. Let's just do this instead. Any system, yeah. So change in an open system is to be expected, and like this sentence encompasses both of these and kind of tells you why these are the same, right? Like change in open system is to be expected. Yeah. So like it's going to change over time. Yeah, of course, because it's to be expected. We must expect change to occur. Yeah, because it is to be expected, right? So that's fine. Again, systems and change. Can I have change as a topic? No. Like we must evolve to whatever. And of course make a reference here. How can you be so certain? Can I just type it out? What's the quote? When the world changes. When? Yeah, nice. Okay. So like I don't have to scroll. Okay, next. We cannot avoid taking risks. Let's make sure they are deliberate and considered risks. I wonder not how we take risks, but when we choose to take risks. What might it instead? Okay, so clearly I have a lot to say here, so let's just copy this. And let's, oops, copy my notes. There's gonna be some formatting errors as usual, but what can you do? Okay. I also wonder not how to take risks, but when we choose to take risks. Or might it instead generally make sense to aim for perfectionism and then move forward when we feel that our system is robust enough? Okay. Obviously, we cannot say with any guarantee that a system is truly perfect. But what I mean is that a risk sounds like proceeding even when you are highly uncertain, as opposed to just ignorant as we always are. Zig is a great example of a language that is chasing perfection. And by perfection, I mean it in an attainable sense. The feeling that something is truly as good as you can possibly make it with your current knowledge. I think I might answer this question a bit later in the text, but here there might be something. Obviously, we cannot say with any guarantee that a system is truly perfect. Okay, so perfection is unattainable. But what I mean is that a risk sounds like proceeding even you are highly uncertain. Okay, so the note here is perfect, and in this case, the thing is clear enough. I can just write it. Actually, not. No, perfection is unattainable. Okay, I'm gonna just contradict myself like 10 times, but fine. There's a title. Um, true perfection by def true perfection by definition is unattainable. So I say by definition, so I probably should actually perf- perfect perfection. Okay, can't spell. Perfection is a state of being complete, flawless, or supreme in quality. The highest degree of excellence. Uh, because it is not only flawless, well, because it is both flawless and complete. But we have no way of verifying if something is flawless, is either flawless or complete when time is a factor. Since time heals, like since time exposes, since time tends to reveal things, reveal issues we failed to consider at an earlier stage. So this is another note. I think this is actually quite a deep topic, but so let's just see how where we go with this. We cannot afford taking risks. Okay, that's the note there. Perfection is unattainable. True perfection. Topics. Perfectionism. Why did it? Oh, because I pressed escape. In a Vim mood apparently. Perfectionism. It's still systems. Perfectionism maybe could be a note. And by the way, don't overthink these topics or categories. Like just make them, and then you'll kind of suss out later on if you need to rethink some of the labels. Um, yeah, and like that's okay. And that's where graph view comes in handy because like you can see which particular labels have the most like connections. Like this is systems. I don't know why it isn't bigger. If I create it, does it become big? No. I guess I just truly don't have enough yet. But what Zen should do is I have actually a lot of atoms. If I move this to maps, and then let me just close it, reopen it just in case. Yeah, I don't know. What Zen should do is make this bigger, like fatter. Um, but I guess I need more notes, which is fine. But I'll just delete this one for now. Okay, so yeah, so this will be a note, a link to something to some other notes. So let's make that now, of course. Time tends to reveal issues we fail to consider at an earlier stage. Yeah. So in a system where time is a factor, i.e. time, i.e. the passing of time in of itself is possible. Um, the passing of time in of itself is something that can affect the system, such as such as a fridge, such as a fridge being worn down by I don't know enough how, I don't really know enough about how fridges work to say what makes them stop working over time. Besides just like degradation of materials, being worn down by its degradation of materials, let's say. Yeah. Um, there are bounds. There are. It is highly likely. As more time passes, it becomes increasingly likely that a solution to a problem, or that a solution to a problem that we thought was perfect, in fact, or like that we thought was perfect in that time context, turns out to in fact have flaws. Whether that be because certain issues were simply not considered, or because the solution was good, but not dynamic. And here I can actually link to my other notes, right? Solution was good, but not dynamic. So dynamic problems require dynamic solutions. Cool. So I'm now linked to this from this. And like now, suddenly we see how this one links to this new note, which I got from this, but like it still relates to previous thoughts I already had. That's kind of cool. So systems and again, perfectionism. So time reveals systematic issues. Time exposes issues in systems. Time exposes solutions as imperfect. And then true perfection is unattainable, derives from that. Yep, so I can just copy this, do this, and boom. And I have two notes. Just like that. I did link to this, didn't I? Oh, right, just that, right. Yeah, cool. Awesome. So graph view. I'm at this point I'm just waiting for systems to get bigger. I can kind of see it getting bigger now. I mean I don't think it even warrants a hub note because like I can like these aren't too crazy, but like imagine if this had like 20 different connections, then you could see how a map note or a hub note would be useful just for like kind of navigating it. But also yeah, I've known orphan notes, which is cool. And I like okay, so like I can already see, as I would expect, that programming language design um, is connecting to at least one idea for systems, because you know a programming language is a system in of itself, and likewise perfectionism relates to systems and models of thinking, because you know that's also a system. Truth is currently by itself. Zettelkasten is by itself as well. Uh, Matrices and linear algebra are connected, of course. This map doesn't even exist. Okay. But the matrices or stuff, I could go deeper into that. I just haven't done it yet because that was just for like kind of an example of me watching my old notes. Decision making, I would expect to come to models of thinking at some point. Collaboration connects to design, which connects to communication. Obviously, communication and collaboration, those go very hand in hand. Design, I don't even know if I want to call it design. Like, I feel like a different category would make more sense. But anyway, it's just cool to see how these are already connecting in ways that I can kind of predict, but also are maybe surprising. So new notes, or further in our here notes here. Yeah, we have a reasonably clear idea of where you want to go. Having a clear goal is difficult. Did I say that? Having a clear goal is difficult. Um, Goal. I didn't say that. No. I didn't say it was difficult, but I don't think that's a good note anyway. Like, what do you mean goals are difficult? Like, are they? A large working system is always a result of work on a smaller working system. Would you agree then that as an atomic approach to system design is the way to go? I have a thought or a hypothesis that atomic anything is really good, but I don't feel like I can really back that up yet. Like it's a suspicion I have, but it's not strong enough for me to really put it in my notes. I don't think, like my Zettelkasten. But if it is a worthy idea, then other notes I make before it should eventually lead to me deriving that as a conclusion. So I'm ignoring it for now, but like I'm trusting that if it's truly a worthy idea, it will come naturally later, as opposed to me just kind of thinking it might be a thing. Also, I do have my inbox, don't I? Yeah, I took that as distraction. I wonder if I even been noticing this already. Okay, so I've got to come back to my inbox later and also add this. Um, Existing language features and the type system need to be respected for new and old facilities to interoperate smoothly, which is where new languages come in. So new languages allow an overhaul. New languages are important. The creation of new programming languages is important as they allow dead weight to be dropped, right? For like total flexibility. Um, Stability is a feature as well as a serious design constraint. A language is weighed down by its history. Hmm. There's something here, but I feel like I can't really express it from this alone. So again, I will trust that I will get a better way to kind of a better version of that thought later on. Um, yep. So just trust the process. Stability is a feature as well as a serious design constraint. Simply a point. Whether or not a language is stable is a massive decision factor for programmers. Yep. So programmers gravitate towards languages which are stable. And I just want to clarify the reason I didn't make those notes just now from the things I just read is not because they are crap. It's not because I disagree. Like whether or not you, so I disagree. It's like not because like I'm super uncertain. My God, like you should still make notes in your Zettelkasten, even if you're not like super certain. Because again, like it's a thinking tool. But in those cases, it's more just that I don't even have a concrete thought, right? If that makes sense. So stability is a feature as well as a design constraint. And I just copy paste what I said. Whether or not a language is stable is a massive decision factor. For programmers, C++ maintains stability in SIG, which is always breaking it or case studies. Yep. So you know, which is that. In programming, regarding programming languages, um, the stability of a programming language is one of its most important features, as programmers are programmers are more likely to learn and adopt a language that they trust will not break existing code. Will not break or abandon existing code. Any, yeah, and are more likely, and likewise, are more likely to avoid languages that are constantly evolving and breaking legacy code. Great examples of this, even like case studies. Great case studies of this is a great case study of this is C++ versus Rust versus Zig, or C even versus Zig. C is extremely stable and shows no signs of, and like, yeah, and makes like no real breaking changes to existing code. The only example I can think of is the deprecation of trigraphs. But these can be optionally enabled. And C is extremely popular, and it is a massive factor to both C's and C++'s successes. Both C and C++'s success. Meanwhile, many agree that Zig seems promising, but do not want to get involved in, but do not want to use it just yet, to so much as try using it just yet, since it could break existing code in a matter of days, right? Break existing code unpredictably at the moment. Another example is how many programmers and companies that do use C++ actually stick to an earlier version, like C++ 11, likely due to the likely as restricting new features, that the use of new features means that systems of software design in C++ can be established within the company's, yeah, okay, can be established and used forevermore, right? So once again, this is much longer notes, but that's because these two examples just help support this claim, and it's still the same idea. So how here so certain stability, yeah. Topics. Actually, what's the title of this then? Stability is a core programming language feature. So programming language design, of course. Okay. That was a really good one. Uses and system compilers supporting all versions. And I talk about Rust's edition system. Is this the same section? Yeah, suggestions. Damn. I feel that Rust edition system is as good as a fix to this as I can currently imagine, and I wonder what Brown thinks about that. Also, there's an argument to be made that we should embrace new languages as they come. In fact, I think we already are, as people are seeing enough benefit from languages like Rust and Zig, that big tech companies will choose to rewrite their code bases. So I'm not even sure if we as a community need to consciously be more open to new languages. Since there's people with shit. Okay. So there are two things here. I mean, three things, I guess, is that Rust edition system is a solution, but the other two are that one, people naturally people en masse, like on a big scale, it can be observed that people will jump to a better solution to a problem if it is compelling enough compared to the old solution. Like maybe the old solution has like lots of problems, but the same one is not necessarily true if the improvements are minimal. Um, I'm gonna make that note, but I'm not gonna generalize it to everything. I'm just gonna talk about it in the context of programming languages. So, en masse. Well, en masse just means like in mass, but can I use it to mean like altogether in large numbers? Um, um, on a looking at observing populations. Okay, uh, from the considering. There you go. Considering populations of programmers as a whole. Considering a population of programmers for a particular programming language as a whole, significant portions of that population, of that community, will naturally choose. The thing is, this isn't backed up by evidence. It's just a suspicion I have. I suspect that significant portions of that community will naturally gravitate, will naturally move to a new language if said new language what is enough of an improvement, or like offers enough improvement over the current language, over the current critically flawed in critically flawed in comparison language. But of course, significant because there will still be stubborn people, stubborn or skeptical, stubborn or and or skeptical people, skeptical people who refuse to jump ship. Regardless, and there are also those who will just who will leave the language for much less as well. Okay. Users insisting on priority supporting. How can you so certain? Users insist, yeah. So for programmers to change languages, the alternatives must be a substantial improvement, or must offer substantial benefit. And the other thought was we should encourage research into new ways of programming. Yeah, so even though stability, even though stability is an important and useful feature for a programming language to have, this does not mean that we should not still what's the word? Invest research into new languages and ways of programming. In fact, we should encourage the research and arts of programming language design, as it could one day give rise to a new language that combines enough new important features to provide, and here to provide substantial reason for programmers en masse to migrate to a new language. Okay. Is en masse like one word? No. A great example of this is Rust, which combines Rust as a replacement to C++. Whether or not you think that it is going to replace C++, as a targeted Rust with its intention to replace with its success, I should say, in attracting C++ programmers due to containing features that are the culmination of decades of research into programming language design, such as some types, such as tagged unions as a core language feature, and the borrow checker model, for instance, among many other things. Yeah. Same reference here. So I like, yeah, I like how this just naturally draws off of two other notes. Research into programming new programming languages should be encouraged. The creation of new programming languages should be encouraged. Innovation. Yeah. Nice. Lovely. Okay. It's been an hour and 20 minutes so far. And I've already got like 10 more notes. So I guess if you were to count this, it'd be 80 minutes, about 8 minutes per note so far. But that includes all the yapping I'm doing. So pretty good. User assists. Okay, I just had that one. Coding guidelines and guidelines for achieving simplicity and correctness. Okay, this one's, yeah. Okay. This might be the last one I do for now. I mean, like this article's really dense, so there just is a lot to take away from it. And again, not to mention that because I have a new Zettelkasten, of course that means that I'll be able to, you know, because like I don't have ideas that are being repeated, like everything is new, then there's just a lot more potential for notes. There are bound to be limitations for a compiler is able to enforce in a language, and that's where consensus on how to use the language properly um, is essential to good programs being written. I mean, this itself is a kind of a statement, but I said they're bound to be. It's more that they're just like they're can be like I meant this in the context of today. Um, it's possible that in the future we'll literally just solve all these issues and everything will be good. And that's where consensus on how to use language properly essential is good to conversing. So when compilers are not perfect, we must have a consensus on how a language should be used properly. So when compilers for a programming language are unable to enforce rules perfectly, it is important that the language has is language that the community for that language have a consensus properly written as a formal guide for how programs should be written in that language. As it, um, yeah, as languages that are written consistently are easy to read. No. Yeah. Okay. The language has have a consensus for how programs should be written in that language. As it means less overhead, right? Um, as reading code is as if not is at least as important as writing it. And we have an easier time reading code that is stylized in a familiar manner. Yeah, this one's not really that important enough or like that like revolutionary enough to be its own note. Like this one is just that obvious. But this one I will put into a separate note. Reading code is at least as important as writing it. Um, although there is although many programmers um, are ignorant of the fact, reading code is at least as important as writing it. As programmers spend far more time, on average, reading through code, even their own programs, as they write it, as they are developing them, than they do writing it. And from this, I can actually derive that we should spend more time. That like this fact is a reason why we shouldn't worry about spending more time writing if it means that it reduces time reading. Um, but reading code is at least as important as writing it. Yeah. Well, what is it? It's not programming language design at this point. Actually, kind of is. Um, this one came from this coding guidelines. No. How can you be so certain? Coding guide. No. Coding guidelines. Yeah. So this one actually doesn't have any source at all. It's completely unlinked right now. It's orphaned, which is not ideal. But well, okay, actually no, it's not orphaned because this one links from it. As reading code is at least as important as writing it. Wow, literally verbatim. In this case, references no. More because reading code is at least as important as writing it. That reading code is at least as important. Okay, so because we spend more time, because programmers spend more time reading code than actually writing it, we shouldn't be hesitant to spend a bit more time writing our code if it means that it could potentially save lots of time in reading. Likewise, um, programming languages can be designed. Yeah, like you can design a language to also just be more readable with less writing effort. But anyway, topics for language design. Not really though. It's not really programming language design. It's more like programming practices, right? Like software development. Um, Writing code. I say coding. Coding is different from programming because it's like specifically the act of writing code. I mean, I could just call it writing code actually. I think I will. But coding can include reading, so never mind. Same with this. Okay. More what? Um, Programmers should write more to read less. That's the gist of that. Nice. And for this one, um, a a standard for styling code should cover the gaps of a compiler. Yeah. Okay. That was a good chain, I think. Oh, I said I made 19 notes and 8 minutes per note. That's not true. I've actually made a lot more than that, haven't I? Like a lot more on like days. Can I check how many I've just made in the past like session here? Let me go to my vault. What the hell? Documents, vaults, atoms. Sorry, I modified. Right, so today I've made 17 notes. Yeah, in the past 90 minutes. Oh god, I'm so bad at doing math right now. 90 minutes divided by 17. Can my calculator open for this? 90 over 17. So I've spent actually around 5.5 minutes, let's say, per note, which is better than what I said. Yeah, cool. So honestly, not that bad. It's just I've created so many that it's taking this long. But like 90 minutes, like for like a study session, like if this is all you're doing to study, is it really that bad? I think it's pretty damn good. Coding guidelines is like what else was there here? Sorry. LLMs are kind of perfectly suited for static analysis. Yeah, that's a really good point. Um, Large language model LLM AI. Large language models are kind of perfectly suited, are very well suited for static code analysis, for static analysis of code. Since they are, of course, good at parsing language and may become essential to programming moving forward in the near future for covering the weaknesses of compilers, since compilers can only do so much static analysis, do so much correctness slash proof checking themselves. Yeah. And this is, again, how can you be so certain? AE7561. Nice. Okay. And title. LLMs are great for static analysis of code. Cool. So I do think I'm gonna leave it there because I got quite a bit more to go through. But it's already 4:50 if you can't tell. Like it's almost 5 a.m. So I think I should just stop. With these. Yeah. So this is the graph now. Already like exploding way faster than my previous note taking. Not that like having lots of notes was the goal back then, but it definitely is now. I do think. Nice. So we should have a lot more for programming language design. Here. Yep. Which interestingly, it only links to systems through one node right now, which is that the skill of programming is transferable. Okay, that's why, because like it's literally talking about how it's transferable. That's cool. And we also got code here, and they kind of link to each other too. Yeah, very cool. So I want to finish this then tomorrow if I can, and I also have some other stuff to analyze. I got this video by Ken, where literally in the first few seconds he says,
"Passion is the genesis of genius." That is a Galileo quote that I wanted to talk about today because it's
yeah, passion is the genesis of genius. I think that's a really interesting quote, and there's a lot here that Ken says that got me thinking about stuff. So I'm going to actually save this to my Obsidian playlist. Playlist, by that I mean folder. I do actually have an Obsidian playlist like here, but that was for different things, like all this stuff. But like obviously notice that I have 135 videos in here, so I don't know if I'm gonna get through any of these like ever. But I should go through like at some point and just kind of just pick up some ideas and then remove them because this is just ridiculous. Like the backlog of 135 videos, whereas some of these are like I don't know 20 minutes plus. Like no, no. Yeah, this is public, right? Yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there for today. Hopefully, especially with like, I do think the first like few minutes of this video were actually good to watch for people who aren't just trying to whatever. Because I think that's some good advice there on Zettelkastening. Yeah. Uh, See you tomorrow. Unless I get busy with other things. Oh, my cat. Is my mic quiet again, by the way? That's annoying. Oh well.